Well, hello, folks.
Hello.
Here we are again.
I am with him this time. I'm with him all the time.
I am with him as well.
We are all together.
Yes, we are.
Dad.
What
is...
I wanted to show you something.
Oh, whoa.
This is not what we're going to talk about today, but this is called the Lexham English Septuagint version of the Old Testament plus others, and it's just fresh.
That's the book you just got?
Yeah, it's a book I just got.
Has it been a good read so far?
Oh Lord!
Literally.
Literally, he did say
yeah,
Bible.
It's a lot of. But the other book that I'm reading that has references to that particular Bible is a new book out, and it is tough reading because it has so many of reference here, reference there, reference there, reference everywhere. And
that's like the Bible. The same thing. Begotten to begotten to begotten to begotten to.
Sounds like a hip hop album.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that one day. Anyway, today let's talk about AI some more.
Okay.
And somebody mentioned, you did, that it might be interesting to talk about AI in respect to sports and what could be done in sports or not done or shouldn't be done in sports. And so you guys go ahead. I wanted to point out, though, that like this is Scientific American, and this is kind of put together like almost a comic thing, but it's not. And what they find, what they have in here is what they're terming, which is...
Nope, there you go. You don't want that, you want that. Or that. There you go. We'll get it. He's 90.
Yeah, it's called they're regenerative. I got the wrong dang word. I always get the wrong word. What's that say? Can you read it there?
AI presents? Or where are we looking?
Yeah.
Generative models?
Generative model, that's it. Well, I got you to say it. All right. And what they're referring to here is that they could put what they did is put a whole bunch of images and words and fed them into this computer, into this AI system. And pretty soon, it could read text.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it could read text off. And in the other magazine, which was the last time, was which AI is able to put together some things, and they didn't know just exactly how they did it. There was no programming to do that. They did it. Well, all of that is a good precursor to say that we got a lot to be looking forward to and to be worried about.
Right.
So, and I asked my dentist.
Your dentist?
Well, he was next to the eye doctor. I asked the eye doctor what he thought AI would be good for. And he said it'll help medicine a lot. Then he asked him about the risks, and he said, oh yeah, there's risks to it. So, there's a lot that's being confronted. Now, what about sports? That's a whole subject in itself. What can we do with sports?
Well, I mean, before we leave generative AI, I think it's really interesting how quickly this artificial intelligence, which is a very big bucket that we're putting a lot into, but it's amazing how quickly it is able to evolve. And I think you're seeing an evolution in the generative AI, right?
That's
If you
right.
give it a whole bunch of resources and all of a sudden it starts making connections and it gets to a point where it can already read text off of something, that's a pretty huge leap for an artificial intelligence that's basically just off in the corner working on its own.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's probably like the biggest fear, right?
Sawyer?
So whenever people start talking about AI right now, it really seems like there's a % chance of doom, right? And when is it going to eventually come to a place where it harms humanity? And I think that is something that remains to be seen. I think it's easy to kind of look at the technology and be afraid of what the technology will become. But I think we also have to factor in that like technologies have come into our world before and we as a species have adapted. Right. So in other words, when the mobile phone came out, no one ever would have thought that you would be able to check email on the cell phones that we see today.
No.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is I would hope, or I'd like to have faith, that humans will be able to adapt to whatever final form this AI takes.
Yeah.
And I think the scary part right now is that with stuff like this generative AI, you don't know what the final form is, and it's reaching a new final form every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, sports
Okay.
and AI, I mean, I
Right.
agree with everything that you're saying. I do. But we, as the human, have a tendency to hold people up that are football stars, that are basketball stars, that are baseball stars.
Aliens.
Well, but okay. I mean,
Hold
that's
up
a
the
whole nother
aliens? Now
path.
we're
But you know what I
talking.
mean? We have a tendency to worship them and their skill set. So I don't think AI will ever have a place in sports because it's the people that they watch. It's the just like I don't think AI will have a place in charity auctions, to be honest with you, because it's a people-oriented thing. We're dealing with emotion. Sports is all emotion. It's the highs and the lows. But not to throw you guys for a loop, but what if, I just had this
Oh, boy.
thought, it's
Oh,
going to
boy.
send
Here
you
we
off.
go. Here we go.
What if the AI thing is, what if the aliens are actual AI that are time travelers that come back? What if that is already done? What if this is already
Whoa.
done?
Whoa.
Well, we're just discovering it.
And so now they're kind of throwing little things in there, right?
Uh-huh.
To make us think about it. And now all of a sudden, at the same time,
Okay.
AI is a scary thing for people. At the
Right.
same time, the aliens are known. What if there's a bigger plan there, old man?
Well, I think there is.
What do you think that plan is?
Well, I don't know.
I don't either, but it's,
I mean,
it's
I don't-
too coincidental, Shelby.
Okay, so here's the problem with aliens. It's like there's a lot of people that are very.
We do not have a problem with aliens.
You know, we love them. We love our dear overlords that are yet to come.
They can come land out here anytime they want. You know, that'd be good.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that like
No.
I don't know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought.
As far as aliens coming back from the future, and now, you know, we're hearing about aliens and AI and all this.
Thank you. Yeah. So I think you're assuming that there's like a bigger narrative here, and that feels like a little bit of conspiracy theory to me. You know
I'm
what
not
I
a
mean?
conspiracy theorist, though.
But I mean, like,
But I'm trying to understand
You're
it.
basically assuming that like there's this all powerful individual that's pulling all the strings to make this happen. And I think what social media is doing is it's basically a reflection of us, right? Like whatever we're putting into the algorithm is what's being served all over the place, right? So it's a reflection of us. And I think there is this curiosity within humanity about figuring out if there is a bigger picture or what's behind the curtain. And I guess part of me thinks maybe there is nothing behind the curtain. Like maybe we're just looking for reason in something. Like maybe we're grasping at straws.
Grasping at straws. So. Well, we've also talked before about a different sort of AI, not mechanical, not electronic, except that when you get down to the biochemical level, it becomes electronic again. You know, it depends on the kinds of fluids in our nerves and stuff that transmit impulses and so on. So, in a sense, we are if you go back to like that story and you say that story is true, then then you say, well, what was the manual for that? Well, we don't know what the manual was. So we're discovering what the manual is in a rather tough way. But I think we can lay that off onto electronics if we talk to the right people. There were some pretty brilliant people go by our ways here in the last
Yeah.
what 200-300 years,
Mhm.
and they're getting smarter and smarter every time.
Yeah.
So I think I was going to say about sports. Well, who pitches the ball?
Yeah, but if there's a perfect pitch,
That's it.
if there's a perfect pitch every time because it's an AI generated pitch,
Uh-huh.
and I mean, we're talking about if it's an AI game,
Uh-huh.
there's a perfect
mean,
pitch,
like-
and then there's a perfect hit,
Yeah.
there's a perfect catch.
I mean, I take issue with the fact, like, what does that mean, an AI game, right? I think that's where my mind keeps going. Because remember that movie Moneyball, where they
Yeah.
went and, like, hired all, like, the lower mid-tier
Great film.
baseball guys, and they
Yeah.
ended up winning a whole bunch of games.
Mhm.
I think that is where you will see AI pop up around sports, right? I mean, essentially all that thing was showing in Moneyball is that the smart guy with the calculator actually crunched the numbers, he could get an edge on everybody else. That's
Uh-huh.
essentially what it is. That's where you're going to see AI come in, is with managers, with like best practices. You know, there's going to be a suggestion of plays for these players. Like, if you run this play, you're going to have a 32% chance of a completion, right?
Sure.
All of those numbers are going to be
They
able
can
to
do
run
that
on the fly.
already. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as the technology gets better, they're going to have more access to that data, and the more data they can add to that set, much like generative AI, the more effective it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't think you're ever going to see like two robots go up against one another, and the reason is because so much of sports is the story.
It's the emotion.
Like, it's the emotion.
Yeah.
But like, what's your favorite part of watching a football game? Is it the hour pregame where they're setting up the narrative of the two quarterbacks and the teams and
Yeah.
the trials and tribulations? Or is it the actual playing of the game? Because I would argue that it's the first of those two. It's the
Yeah.
actual story of you getting invested in these players, which is why all of us like to share stories about sports.
And my husband watches football because he likes to watch the plays.
Mhm.
He's a play watcher.
Right.
He will watch the play, and so he's not as into the players or their story as I mean there's something to be said for it becoming somewhat of a part of sports because we are paying ridiculous
I mean,
money
agreed,
to these
yeah.
sports people, and if you get rid of that and somehow figure out how that AI generated team has an edge, and the competition is still going to be between humans because the AIs are going to do what the human tells them to do.
Yeah.
So there's still a competition with the humans, but it becomes more of an intellectual game than it is physical. So,
Well-
and that probably gets rid of the emotion.
But I
Well,
think it's
you
always
could-
going to be a physical.
You could lay out if you throw this kind of pitch, there's 43% possibility that he's going to hit it. This particular hitter is going to hit that. And that's the kind of thing they could figure out ahead of time so that the managers could see what to call.
Right.
But that doesn't say, that ball's going to go where it's supposed to,
Right.
or where they planned it to.
Yeah. Like there is some random number generation here, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I ate a cheeseburger last night instead of a salad, therefore I don't have as much power in my arm as I would have otherwise, right? Like there's always going to be that random element that's going to make sports enjoyable to watch, I
Yeah.
would imagine, in whatever form they take,
There's a lot of superstition in sports too.
right?
Just
Yeah.
like what you were talking. Oh, geez,
Right.
I should have eaten the cheeseburger, not the salad.
I mean, whenever I do auctions, I go to I need to eat this at this time, and then I'm not going to eat
Good.
again until
Hey.
after the show.
There you
Like
are.
I need to have a heavy lunch
Yep.
at
Uh-huh.
1 or 2 o'clock, and it's a fat burger or it's
Uh-huh.
something with it's
Pasta
heavy.
or-
It's
yep.
heavy, and then and then after the show, I'm like, oh, and then I have a salad or a
Yeah.
water or something. Definitely not a cocktail.
Definitely not.
Definitely not a cocktail.
We definitely don't have those.
Definitely don't. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting thought experiment. Like, how does AI integrate itself into sports? And I think you're asking the right questions because everyone is scared how AI is going to do everything in our future.
It's impossible.
But it's going to have to take incremental steps towards integrating in every program or business that need be. Look at the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get online and buy things on the internet.
Mhm.
How long did that take to get to the user at home?
Yeah.
In the beginning, we were afraid to put our credit card numbers in
Yeah.
websites, right? And now you don't even think about it, and you swipe left, and a USB stick lands on your door the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's an interesting problem to have. I'm excited to see what happens with the sports. Have you seen? This is kind of a sort of an aside, but did you see that Pixar is going to be live streaming one of the football games in the near future?
No.
Yeah, so what they're going to do is they're going to, I believe this is how it's going to work, is they're going to animate the characters from the players on the field. And you're going to be able to watch like a Pixar style football game based
As
on
it's
what's
happening.
as it's happening.
Woo, doggies.
My.
Yeah, they're
Right.
advertising it everywhere. So we'll have to watch that and see what it
Yeah.
looks like. Yeah.
So this asks the question here just for the heck of it, will humans ever live in space? And the general,
I already know some humans that are.
there's probably more than we know
Yeah.
already there.
She's saying she already knows some space cadets.
I
over
already
here.
know
Yeah.
some
You
You think
spacey
she's talking
humans.
about us, Ivan? What's up with that?
No, I'm not talking about you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So, will
Yeah.
humans ever live in space? What do you think?
Well, I think there's one thing that there was designed for them during Eisenhower's time of Werner von Braun, who was a Nazi, admittedly so, but they grabbed him because he was a top rocket scientist, a top space scientist, and he designed, and it was all came out in the Collier's magazine about a spinning hotel up there where you could take it up. You know, it's like that movie, 2001, was just like that. It used a lot of that, but it was all already there. They didn't have to go invent a bunch of it. They could have just built on it. But the powers that be decided they weren't going to spend the money on that stuff. So they didn't. Anyway, it's all in people's minds. It'll come blossoming out there pretty soon. The inventors and all that, one thing hooks to the next one and hooks to the next, that sort of thing. And I think we'll all see it. And we'll all like it, I think. Our children will grow up so they don't know how to work. Because they won't call it that. They call it something else. It'd be an activity of some sort. And they will, there'll be money. I don't know how that's going to make money or whatever. That's a whole different discussion about our social stuff and so on. So that's time, something for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
that's a really good
cool.
conversation.
We'll see
Yay.
you next
Well,
time,
good.
folks.
Thanks for joining us this week.
See you guys.
See ya.